gonna get started, guys. It's beautiful morning at 9:30 on June 18th, and we're gonna get started. So our main topic for today is gonna be inspections, kind of what to look for. I know lately we've been having a lot of questions about these because thankfully a lot of our agents are in the process of doing inspections and are under contract, which is really, really cool. So this way we can get ahead of the game, and for all of you other agents that are still kind of getting there and almost under contract, y'all know what to look for. So first and foremost, this is our second video and we want to keep them coming. So regardless of time blocks, time schedules, we'll be making these available for you guys throughout the week. And then just whenever y'all don't see one in the queue, just let us know and we'll pop it on there. So really, first off, when looking at an inspection report, a lot of our agents are going, what do I ask for? What do I do? How do I go about this, right? Well, first and foremost, review it with the seller, or with the buyer, I'm sorry. So first off, I know you guys always want to go, well, I want to have good advice. I want to know what to tell my client. I want to, in case they ask me, well, what do you think, right? Well, what do I think is really based on what you think, buyer, because what I would want is not necessarily what you would want. And so we need to really have that conversation together. Yes, on the basis, look for your big items, which is going to be your roof, your foundation, your HVAC, your plumbing, and kind of your major appliances, right? Your major big ticket items, your electrical, certain things like that. So first and foremost, always ask for an HVAC clean and service. That is the first thing that, should always be on the inspection, just because you never know how long it's been since that thing's been cleaned, and they can be pretty expensive if they go out.
Even if it's clean?
Even if it's clean, I would still, because you don't know if it's clean. If the inspector hadn't opened the lid, or the lid was being obstructed and he can't see it, even if it's clean, still get it serviced, right? You want to service that HVAC. That's number one, because if it does go out, that's a big issue later on down the line. Also, you want to make sure that those things are clean and serviced, because if your home warranty company then comes in and you're buying a home warranty, those things may not be covered if it's currently deficient upon the time of obtaining that home warranty. So you always want to make sure that HVAC is serviced and cleaned before closing. Again, so roof, right? A lot of our agents are, the condition of the roof looks old. Honestly, if the roof looks that bad, ask for a new one. You'd be surprised at how often the sellers can pull the insurance claim and get you guys a brand new roof, which just, in a sense, gave you another $5,000 worth of value gain, because now you have a brand new roof, your insurance cost goes down, the value of the house goes up, and you got that without even having to pay for it. So ask for a new roof if possible. It's definitely a question to pay, and always ask for more than what you expect to get back. Right? And if they give you more, then hey, let's go. But always to your main points for the buyer side. What would you recommend? Just recommend those big key points: is the roof, the foundation, the HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. Always have those things checked out. And then as for that, then I would kind of go into those more little things, right? Such as your hydrostatic pressure test. That is one huge thing that you could look for as well. But I would only do those if the house is built around the 1950s. A lot of the stuff on 1950s, they use cast iron sewage piping. And so by now, those things have been moved, they've been rotted, they've rusted. So really getting a camera down there or allowing for the hydrostatic pressure test to do will really benefit your client. And what a hydrostatic pressure test is that at the main out of the home, put a balloon to stop the water flow to go into the main city sewer, and so that will cause a backup into the rest of your house. So what they'll do is they'll clog it, and then they'll turn on all the water faucets and on your tubs and your sinks, and let the water stay there and see if there's any movement. So if the water doesn't move within 15 minutes, it means your sewer system is perfectly holding up the way it should. If for some reason water starts going from here after 15 minutes, now it's here, that means it's a leak in your sewage system. So hydrostatic pressure test is recommended. You also need to request for a home hydrostatic pressure test, form on Zipforms for that, and make sure that you get that verification and approval from the seller before you do it, because it does put a strain on the system. For some reason, something happened, you may be liable for that. So you get the approval, and for some reason, if the seller don't give you the approval, wonder why. Why aren't you guys? If you guys pass on a good product, why you guys should that's wanting to do a hydrostatic test. So just keep that in mind. Make sure to fill out that form.
And those are only for slab foundations.
And
it's different.
Correct. So for slab, that's great. For pier and beam, it's not a huge issue because typically, it's all exterior. You go under the house, replace it real quick, and get it done. As for the slab, that's a little harder. You're having to dig, and you have to do more issues. So mainly for 1950s-ish home on a slab, I would definitely recommend getting a test. They can be kind of expensive, so let your buyer know. But I do have a guy, I believe his name's Victor, who will do them for $150. So if you are in a house that's older than like the 1950s, maybe all the way up to 1960, I would say, or anywhere in Hollywood Park or some of those older septic tank communities, those also are big issues and can save you guys a ton of money if you guys want to continue with the deal. Or if they want to get it replaced, then negotiate. Another thing is broken exterior walls. So FHA guidelines and lender required repairs. So if you have a hole in the exterior of the home that allows for either large penetration or rodents or animals, FHA is going to flag that, and that is most likely going to be an FHA required lender repair or VA, anything government backed. So if you do see large holes or large openings in the exterior of the home, those are going to be necessarily required to be done based on the lender. We can maybe push it down the line if the seller just doesn't want to do it then, but just say, hey, we want to. The lender does require this. That's also prevalent for water heaters. So if the water heater is not 18 inches above the ground and it doesn't have a drip pan and it's located inside the house, then that's also required repair. So you can maybe slide in the initial, make sure the sellers are aware that those may be an issue, just to keep it in mind.
You mean let it slide in the initial?
So let it slide in the initial. This means that if you initially requested it and the seller is saying, no, we're not going to mess with the water heater, just let them know that, hey, okay, well, based on my prior experience, from what my broker told me, typically if it's not 18 inches off the ground and it doesn't have a drip pan and maybe even an expansion tank, there may be a lender required repair to get that thing fixed, especially since we're under an FHA or VA loan. You can let it slide for now and not agree to it, but if it does come up as a lender required repair, then we are going to want that thing fixed, and just to get that conversation started. That way they're not surprised later on down the line.
So you're saying that you can request something, the seller doesn't agree to it, but the lender will require it, they have to fix it. Correct. Down the line.
Correct. And they have to fix it. If they decide not to fix it, your buyer gets to back out and get their earnest money back. So all lender required repairs are required for the loan, and that means that if they don't do them, then it's not going to fund, and then you buyer get their money back. I will want to go into some of those. So lender required repairs, a lot of the times, one, roof can be. So again, like I said, if the roof is in a bad enough shape, then they're going to need that replaced. Holes in the exterior, the water heater, as well as some foundation issues or even negative drainage. The negative drainage was going to be my next thing, is when the house is here, right? The house is here and the ground is coming in like this, or the dirt or the concrete or whatever needs
I was going to make sense.
dirt, the water goes away from the foundation. That's pretty typical also for VA and for that. You want to make sure that the water goes away from the house and not to the house. So that's going to maybe a thing. So if you can maybe get it done up front and not waste time later on down the back end, hey, over my time and experience, this is usually VA. Let's get this done before having to go to the appraisal and then maybe having to. Electrical. So I know a lot of the times there's just easy electrical fixes in the panel box, whether hot wires are not properly labeled, GFCIs need to be put in where they need to be put in, and arc fault protection, right? Arc fault protection is a big one. I know a lot of our agents are, well, what do we need that? And a lot of the times they don't. Arc fault protection wasn't really put into place until really around 2010, 2011, I'd say. And then from there, now there are new requirements. So anything prior to that, that's not a requirement, still grandfathered in, and you don't necessarily have to get those replaced. So if you are the selling agent and the buyer's telling you, no, those are code required, no, they're not. They're grandfathered in if you don't have them. But GFCIs may be. GFCIs should always be in your bathrooms, your kitchens, and anywhere near water by your water here or your garage where water may flood or we want to make sure that those are addressed because those could be a lender required repair as well. Making sure that the GFC are in their proper place. The GFC. And then that's the electrical panels. So when there's little things like that, send a picture to your that if you don't have one, let me know. I have a great one. And he does really good work. So if you just send him a picture, say, hey, does this look like it really needs what the pretty good guess of yes or no, and whether or not it's going to be an easy or not easy fix. And so I know the inspector works with those electrical repairs, but wait, re-inspect the whole house. Send them a. They should be able to see is water pressure. I know some of our guys, some of our agents are saying, well, do we need a pressure reducing valve or what's going on with the water pressure? So guidelines for your insurance are necessary from 40 PSI to 80 PSI. If the water of the house is more than 80 PSI, your insurance will not cover any floods. So you need to make sure that pressure from 80 PSI goes, or anything above 80 PSI needs to go down below 80 PSI in between 40 and 60, because if you, for some reason you do have an accident, a pipe bursts, and the insurance company comes and checks your PSI and it's over that 80 PSI, then they're not going to cover you, because then that's considered, you're not in the proper frame for that PSI. So a pressure reducing valve may need to be implemented at the water main. And that would be a repair that I would consider to be pretty required. The lenders may not require it, but I would want that in the best nature of my client because of that whole insurance coverage. If something does happen, that's kind of a big deal. Let's see, what else do I have on my notes?
Can you talk more about foundation?
Foundation, sure. Foundation also is a big thing. So
what's good, what's bad?
What's good, what's bad? So really a 2-inch difference. So if you get a level and if your inspector does a zip level check, if it is more than 2 inches from one side of the house to the other side within a 20-foot span, that would be considered a reason for concern. I know sometimes if you're in an FHA or VA, again, government-backed loans, they really look at those things. And that would be considered a reason to not fund your product, because now your home is just too off kilter and too shifted to be in a good risk standpoint for your lender, because everything goes off risk for these guys. If this house is a high risk for me of breaking or dilapidating, then I'm not going to want to give money to it. So mitigating that risk, and really it's about 2 inch every 20 feet needs to be within that tolerance, and you shouldn't have any problems with funding or moving forward. Good tips and tricks for maintaining your foundation, especially in the summer months, which I would advise any of you sellers that have vacant houses or vacant listings, or just your listing in general and your house for that matter, is soaking your foundation. Every other day or every few days when it's really, really hot and you start to see the ground cracking, water your foundation, water the perimeter of your house, because that will keep your soil moist and allow for proper support in your foundation and not have those shifts, because then you're going to start getting really bad cracks and especially things that have, if you're representing an investor and you want to make sure that the house stays in good shape, because you've redone foundation work or you've redone drywall, and during those summer months you want to make sure that everything stays level, because when you have showings, then those cracks are going to start, because every house starts settling after foundation work, or even if you've done a sheetrock repair, the house is going to shift regardless. It's normal. So keeping your foundation and your water, your floor and your foundation moist and soaked is very, very important, especially on those vacant listings.
Also, if you're curious or if you want more of a foundation, if you want your foundation inspected more, because the inspectors aren't licensed engineers or they don't work for a foundation company, you can always request, if you think you have some foundation issues, you can always request in the repairs to have a licensed engineer inspect the foundation for further repairs. I've gotten that as a seller. I've had quite a bit of buyers request that in the repairs, have foundation inspected by a licensed engineer to determine further repairs. So if you want to,
Correct. And then also a good solution as well is contact our friends at Royal Foundation. They do free estimates. They do free foundation checks. And they're pretty quick. They're pretty one day turnaround time, if not even the same day. So if you get their inspection report back and they request that, hey, maybe you should check out the foundation, give them a call and we can provide you all that information on the email after the video. But they go out same day, if not the next day, and they will do a free foundation check for you. And they're not going to be the people to say, hey, you have to get it done every single time. They're honest with you, and if you don't really need it, they're going to tell you. If you need it, then they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
So really, and then the no biggies, right? Those little cosmetic issues that everybody is like, oh, I want everything on the inspection report. No, you're kind of going to kill the deal if you really want the house, we're going to have to be a little lenient. Go for the big items. But don't really worry about those. So talking about foundation, those corner pops where you see at the corner of the house where the foundation is like chipped away a little bit, the corner piece is kind of missing, and that's not necessarily indicative of foundation problems. It's, again, the house is settling. The first 5-10 years of the house is being built, even so long after, you have shifts and those foundation stress levels move. So sometimes concrete is very fragile and it chips. So that's not really a cause for concern. And I know I have a lot of agents saying that, well, the corner's, chipped off, so that means there's foundation. That's not necessarily the case. It's just normal settling. Every house has movement. Every house is going to have a little bit of a crack here or there if they haven't replaced their sheetrock within the last, 5-10 years. So no biggie really. And just kind of keep those in mind when talking to that buyer. Say, a lot of these things, if you can fix it with a screwdriver, if you can put some caulk on it, let's not worry about it too much. Let's, move forward with the deal and not get caught up in all the weeds, because, we can figure something out after the fact. And then that's really the main topic points that I had for the inspection reports. I mean, does anybody have any horror stories or, just kind of tips or anything that you've had to deal with your inspection reports that, any of our other agents would seem beneficial?
I have an input on the foundation. So, they recommend to water your foundation, and I guess there's been recommendations all over the local news on how to do it. And I was talking to a foundation company when we had them come out to look at a house, and she was like appalled at the instructions that the local news station was giving everybody on how to do it. And so she said, you still do want to water your foundation, but the news station was recommending to put a drip hose like around the perimeter of your foundation, like right up against it. But she recommends to, if you are going to do a drip hose or just watering your foundation, to do it like at least a foot or two away from the foundation. Because what you're trying to do is get the soil to expand like towards the foundation. So it kind of keeps pressing it all in.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So just something that I learned.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. But that makes perfect sense, right? It's like when you water a tree, right? You don't water the what is it called? The trunk, right? You water around it because you want same thing with your house, right? Think of it as a tree. Don't water the foundation itself, water around it, kind of like I was saying, to keep that soil packed in, which is
Yeah, practical.
really, really cool. Thank you for that. Anybody else? Cool.
So would you say, so the big ticket items, just to review again?
Yeah, big ticket items again, just to review, is again the roof, the foundation, the HVAC, the plumbing, and then if it is older than 19 or around 1950s, 1960s, see if it is cast iron and get a hydrostatic pressure test, and then that's pretty much it. Your lender required repairs mainly is going to be negative drainage, water heaters. If there's a stove missing in the house, there has to be a stove present in the kitchen for the lenders to also to pass that inspection. So if there is a missing stove, make sure that's in place before. And then exterior problems with the house. If there's a hole in the exterior, or if there's a hole in the gable or in the what's it called, the soffit, a lot of the times they'll make those have to be sealed and secure before funding those things as well. Other than that, I don't have anything else for inspection reports. And if y'all do have any other personal questions or want me to review them later on for you, we're always here for you guys on that aspect, because I know every deal changes, everything's different. So that's why we're here for you. And then lastly, just a quick reminder, guys, we are having some people having a little bit of issues with SkySlope. So please, if you do have any problems, let us know, but also please watch the instructional video. That's going to be kind of my homework for you guys for the rest of the week and until Monday, is just watch that video. It's a 30-minute video. It really helps you guys understand SkySlope and how to input your documents and how to track everything for yourselves. It's a great tool. I know we all pay for it to utilize it, and we'd like you guys just to know a little bit more.
Know a little bit more about it before you have your first deal and you're like, oh, what do I do? So if you learn it, while you have time, when the time comes for you to input your first transaction, you'll know how to use it. So a little bit of homework for you.
Yeah, just a little bit. And then lastly, just kind of an overall thing. I know lately we've all been hearing more and more about COVID, and I know Governor Greg Abbott's now again enforcing face masks. So just be careful out there, guys. Keep a mask on hand, keep hand sanitizer. Not trying to scare anybody, but things are still progressing and moving forward. So overall, real estate is hot. I mean, San Antonio is probably one of the hottest markets right now in the country for real estate. So that's a positive. I know a lot of our agents right now have clients and are really, really pushing. I myself am super busy on that side as well. So just really keeping ourselves safe, guys, whether it's, having to do a virtual tour, if you need to do Matterports for your listings and do virtual tours for your listings, let us know. We have some resources that can do that for y'all. They are at a little cost, but at the same time, let your sellers know it's a benefit at this time of day. We have to adapt to the community. And if that means doing virtual tours more often, then hey, let's go ahead and do it. It's going to pay off in the long run. So have those conversations with them, just because right now there is uncertainty. But overall, everybody's still healthy and lenders are still lending. Title is still moving forward just fine. And San Antonio's, it's booming. And I know a lot of our agents, that's why we had to have the competitive offer meeting last time on how to make competitive offers, because so many people are still wanting to buy right now. So which is great news. But just keeping your guys' self safe and keeping your clients safe is first and foremost. So other than that, I will turn it back to you guys. If y'all have any questions or need anything from us right now while we have y'all, just please chime in. Okay, I'm sure I'll hear from some of y'all later. But until I do, I wish y'all a great rest of your day. And if I don't talk to y'all, a great weekend. But I'm sure I'll check in with at least each one of y'all throughout the weekend. So feel free to give us a call anytime you need us. We're here for you as your support and resources, as well as your friend and family. So I love everybody here. So we're good. So just let us know what you need. Until then, we'll see y'all later, and call me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.